All right, thank you very much for staying with us. We'll continue with our coverage here on News Center. And even as NASA principals meet, it is this week when political party nominations start. ODM, which had planned to start their nominations last Friday, was forced to put them on hold after IEBC insisted that primaries will go on after lists of contestants are gazetted. The nominations will be fiercely contested in some areas as big names both in the government and the opposition face off. All right, so like I promised, we'll be having a conversation here in studio, and also like for you to interact with me, #NewsCenter or @BettyMKalo is my Twitter handle. Let me know what you think about the party primaries slated to start this week as we move on forward with our conversation. Joining me right now, like I mentioned, is Emmanuel Toili, who is a political analyst and a lecturer at Catholic St. Paul's University. Thank you so much for joining us. We also have Mutamu, who's the Mwingi Central Member of Parliament. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Betty.
All right, so let's begin with the primaries. Do you think, going by what happened last week with the ODM, a bit of chaos at Orange House last week, that we are good and ready to go?
The violence that we experienced sometime last week actually indicates what we need to expect, that it's going to go on. And it's not going to be reduced.
Like the chaos will go on?
The chaos will go on.
Right.
We expect it to increase even in numbers because of the number of people and the people that we see as incumbents and those that are coming as aspirants and those who come from the Senate and also those who are coming from other positions of elected, like the MCAs, as they come in to ensure that some of these incumbents whom they face, they have to remove them, and we'll be able to see a situation whereby, because of that particular inclination, we'll be able to see a lot of people trying to support their own candidates.
All right.
And this will cause violence.
Interesting that he says that, but then is it a matter of a general environment that chaos will happen, or is it about a party? Is it how a political party has organized and planned the nominations?
I think it's quite unfortunate that we are experiencing such a chaos in our country. Politics is not supposed to be, a battle for titanics, so to speak. And the people are not supposed to engage themselves in a ruled manner. That's why we have laws in our country. And that's why we are supposed to play by the rules. And the rules are that, you win, you lose, you lose, and you have to take it. But going back to, to where we belong, to where we are coming from, it's actually evident that even our principles, they don't accept defeat. And that is where we are drawing what we are seeing today. What is happening down there with the either MCA, members of parliament, senators, is a replica of what we are seeing from our presidential candidate. And if our presidential candidate behave well, that they don't cause mayhem, downwards we will also not cause mayhem. I will not advocate for anybody to cause chaos in the countries by the name of trying to get nominated or trying to get elected. However, this is the norm. But I would say there are some areas, and I don't want to mention, there are some areas which are known to cause chaos. Either way, whether you lose or win, you lose, you bring chaos. You lose, you bring chaos.
Right.
It happens in our country. We have seen it, even through social things like sports, like football. You see a team losing, chaos. You see it winning, chaos. So you don't know which way to go.
Doesn't it go back to the party and how the party decides to go about it?
Exactly. And also, party also contribute to this. I can tell you that some parties do their nominations in a way which is not so pleasant to the participant. And you see, nomination is an expensive process. Two, somebody has paid, somebody has campaigned, somebody has spent money.
Right.
And it is so painful when you see things going not in the right way. And in Africa, I would say in Africa generally, it's quite difficult for people to accept defeat. But I would also want to urge politicians and leaders like I that if you enter into that game, you have to have shock and sobers. You have to know you are either going to win or lose, and then you live with that.
All right.
It's a life we have to live with it. Whether you lose, it's a fact which we have to live with it. Because there is no way, if you are 10, that all of you will win. One of you will win, 9 of you will lose.
Right.
And we have to buy that.
Let's talk about your party. How has it planned to have this free and fair primaries right now?
Oh, I mean, my party, which is Jubilee, for your information, because I'm being mistaken to be in Wiper.
No, you defected a couple of months ago.
I moved from Wiper a long time ago. And what we are expecting is free and fair nomination. Although there are people, you know, it also depends on the characters. There are people who don't even accept whether it was free or fair. They'll still not take that home that I've lost. I mean, somebody finds it so difficult to go and explain to their family, you know what, I was beaten by so-and-so. They'll say, my votes have been stolen. And so it is, the contribution comes from both sides, the participant and also the party. The party can conduct a very free and fair election, but for the fear of being, perceived as if you are a loser, you don't take it. You don't go home and announce, you know what, or you don't concede. For the fear of conceding, then you just cover up as if it has been stolen. And then you need to understand this person also has some followers behind them. And I'll tell you what, Betty, in the game, in whichever game, the person who gets hurt most is actually the supporter, okay? If I lose my seat, the person who will be more affected is the person who supports me. If we lose a game of football, it is not the players who fight. Actually, it is the supporters who fight. So we need also to understand the society we are coming in. This is what is affecting us also into political scene.
All right. Let me hear your thoughts about what is the one thing that parties have to do to ensure that this process is free and fair? Because already there are people who are lamenting the fact that there were quite a number of people given direct certificates. I
think the parties need to ensure that they have a strong structure in terms of organizing elections. One of the ways is to ensure that the disciplinary committees actually are enforced and come into action. Because if these disciplinary committees are actually put in place and to ensure that we do not experience such kind of violence, which we might be experiencing from 14th onwards, then the party primaries will be free and fair, one or the other. Then also the issue about nominations. We know people have been disgruntled. Let's put a multiplier effect, for instance. ODM nominated a lot of people.
Actually, a lot of people.
A lot of people, considering that each and every position has two aspirants. Now, when you put that multiplier effect, for instance, if ODM nominated 850, you put a multiplier effect, it comes to around 1,700. Now, this 1,700 aspirants can actually have a nasty effect in the nominations of other aspirants. Yes. All right. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
I think what ODM did is a recipe for chaos. You see, you cannot just go ahead and declare somebody or you give somebody a certificate before the set date.
So Jubilee will not be doing that?
No. You see, like I said before, we have rules. And if IBC gives deadlines for submission of candidates, and then a week or 2 weeks before, you go ahead and you declare, all right, and they say this is our preferred candidate and here's the certificate, then that is wrong. What ODM could have done in this scenario, they could have waited until the time elapsed. Then they say, okay, fine, in this constituency or in this county or in this ward, we do not have two competitors. Then they are free to issue a certificate. But maybe somebody somewhere is still working hard, knowing that and giving, keeping in mind that our Kenyan society, people like the last time thing. So somebody would say, okay, fine, by tomorrow I'll present my papers. Then yesterday somebody is given a certificate. I think that is also totally unfair and it is undemocratic. So what they could have done is to wait until the D-Day is over. Then we know that for sure on this particular constituency, we only have one participant. Then they are free to give that certificate to that person because they don't have a challenger. But if there's somebody willing or who is maybe aspiring to be a candidate in that particular constituency, then you go ahead and then you issue a certificate, then that is wrong. That is a recipe for chaos because there will be disgruntled people in that area, the supporters and that person who wanted to be. And they may shift now their loyalty from ODM to another party.
Okay.
Or they may feel we are on ODM zone, and the only thing now we can do is just to fight for our rights.
All right.
And that's why you see people fighting.
All
So
right.
I think ODM was, I mean, they overstepped their mandate as a party. They could have waited until the D-Day is over, then now they issue the certificate. I have no problem with anybody being given a certificate if you have no challenger. We also have unchallenged opponent in a general election, and you can go in unopposed. That's okay, that's democratic. But we have to wait until the last day to make sure that there's nobody who's interested to vie in that particular position.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Jubilee a bit, because you're proudly Jubilee, and you said that a few minutes ago. Does Jubilee really stand any realistic wins, considering that Ukambani region is Wiper stronghold?
But I think we also Jubilee. I see you in red. And the seats here are also red.
Red is a color.
So this place is like Jubilee. Anyway,
Red
that's
is
on
a
a light
color,
note.
Joe.
But I can tell you for free that the ground has shifted in Ukambani. Yes, before we were...
Has it really shifted?
Yeah, it is. It is. I can tell you for
Because
free.
there's a difference between the leaders defecting, but does that really go down to the masses?
I can tell you, if I am a politician, and I go by what my people want. And if I sense that my people are not for me being in Jubilee, trust me, I will not be there. That's why you saw in Kisi some people defected to Jubilee, but because they looked at the scenario on the ground and it was not favorable for them, they jumped back to ODM. On contrary, in Ukambani, it's totally different. I can tell you when we started campaigning for Jubilee, at point, yeah, people were not taking it. But as we persisted and kept on going on the ground and trying to tell people why we think we should be in Jubilee, they bought the idea and they are totally now with us. We could hardly give out a T-shirt for Jubilee, but today, people are fighting for those T-shirts. That's an indicator to show that, I mean, the voters, the real voters, are little for Jubilee. And I'll tell you what, people are concerned about development. They are not concerned about this kind of parties we are calling. Before, yes, parties were a determining factor to go by. But today, people are so much keen on development. They want to see real development, but not rhetoric stories of that we will do, and people have been there and they have done nothing to them. So they know now the difference.
What about the fact that there are quite a number of leaders who have now come together under one party, or at least in the opposition? Charity Ngilu, Kalonzo Musyoka, you saw them about 2 weeks ago. They say now they're going to be working together. There's Wavinya Ndeti, Kibwana, quite a number of people.
We have no problem with that. We respect, that is their own personal decision, and they can do that. And I want you to know that Wavinya Ndeti stood. Did he, manage to be the governor? No, he was beaten hands down by Mutua. So this is a reject. Gilu, he was also flawed in Kitui. He was just elevated by Uhuru Kenyatta to be the cabinet minister, all right? Kibwana, I will tell you for free, Kibwana is so smart. He knows that there are some sections of people in Ukambani, and particularly in Makueni, who are aligned to Kalonzo, and he also wanted to capture that. So for me, I think for Kibwana, it's just a calculated move for him to retain his seat.
Okay.
But in terms of loyalty, I would give Makueni #1 in terms of Wiper, Machakos #2, Kitui is last. If there's anywhere where there's a strong opposition for Wiper, it is in Kitui, but you may not know this. So Kibuda calculated all these moves and he said, you know what, I must I must take this. Because if people in Makueni, some of them, and I give them credit for that, it is democratic. If they love Wiper in Makueni, a section of them, not all of them. And for me, if I were the governor Kibwana and I see if I stand in Wiper, I will win, then I will go there. Kibwana is not that stupid. Remember, he's also a political, scientist.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time. Emmanuel Toili, he is a political analyst. And also we had Mwingi, Central Member of Parliament, Joe Mutamu. Thank you for your time. No.